My friends, let me tell you something straight from the heart. When the world puts pressure on you, when it tries to intimidate you with numbers, threats, or so-called impossible obstacles, that is not the moment to shrink. That is the moment to rise. That is the moment to show strength, discipline, and vision. Because greatness is never given, it is earned in the fire of challenges. And today, as India faces the heavy weight of tariff threats, this is not a story of weakness. This is a story of resilience. This is a test of willpower, of leadership, and of the courage to stand tall when the giants of the world try to bend you. Understand this: 50% tariffs, or 100%, or even more, these are just numbers. Numbers are designed to scare. But fear is only an illusion. What truly matters is how a nation responds, how its people adapt, how its industries innovate, and how its leaders inspire confidence in every citizen that no external force can dictate their destiny. The world respects power, and power does not come from submission. It comes from determination. Look at the gym. Without resistance, your muscles never grow. Without the pain of lifting, you never gain strength. It is the same with nations. Pressure forces reinvention. Pressure creates innovation. Pressure makes a country discover its own untapped resources, its hidden genius, its unstoppable potential. Instead of seeing this tariff threat as punishment, see it as an opportunity to unleash industries, build self-reliance, and create systems that no outside pressure can ever control. A nation divided cannot win, but a nation that stands shoulder to shoulder, its leaders, its businesses, its workers, its youth, cannot be broken. When farmers, entrepreneurs, engineers, and dreamers unite with one vision, even the strongest outside force cannot shake their foundation. The tariff threats may come from outside, but the answer lies within: unity, focus, and collective pride. The future belongs to those who adapt faster. Tariffs may restrict one door, but vision opens 10 new doors. Technology, manufacturing, energy, defense, and agriculture. These are not just industries, they are weapons of progress. If one market closes, build 10 more. If one partner threatens, create new partnerships. If one path is blocked, carve out another. That is how champions think. That is how nations rise. The world does not remember those who bowed down. It remembers those who stood up. Every threat, every sanction, every tariff, it all fades away. But the courage of a people, the courage of a nation, that becomes immortal. When the history of today is written, will it say that India surrendered to pressure, or will it say India stood tall and turned threats into triumph? The answer depends on the courage shown now. And so, my friends, I leave you with this challenge. Don't wait for circumstances to be easy. Don't wait for the world to treat you kindly. Take the challenge, take the pressure, and turn it into power. Build, innovate, unite, and push forward with unshakable confidence. Because when the world tries to impose limits, that is when you must break them. This is not the time to retreat. This is the time to advance. This is the time to prove that no tariff, no threat, no external force can stop the rise of a determined nation. My friends, listen carefully. When the storms of the world try to shake you, when powerful nations attempt to corner you with numbers, with threats, with the illusion of control, that is not the time to bend. That is the time to rise. That is the time to show strength, courage, and the indomitable willpower that defines true greatness. Tariff threats, sanctions, obstacles, they are not walls, they are weights. And just like in the gym, when the weight is heavy, that is when you grow stronger. Today, India is under the spotlight. Today, India faces pressure. But pressure, my friends, is not punishment. Pressure is opportunity. Pressure builds strength, not weakness. Think about your own life. Think about the times when everything seemed against you, when you had no support, no guarantees, and no easy path forward. It was in those very moments that you discovered what you were truly made of. A 50% tariff threat sounds massive. It sounds overwhelming. It sounds like a wall too high to climb. But in reality, it is nothing more than a challenge. A challenge that demands resilience. A challenge that demands boldness. A challenge that demands vision. Just like lifting weights in the gym. The heavier the resistance, the greater the growth. If there is no resistance, there is no progress. Muscles do not grow without pain, and nations do not rise without pressure. This tariff threat is not a chain meant to bind India. It is a test meant to awaken the true strength that already exists inside. Understand this. Powerful nations use pressure because they know it works on the weak. They hope to create fear, hesitation, and confusion. But here is the truth. Pressure only breaks you if you allow it. If you choose instead to confront it head on, to see it as a gift, then that same pressure becomes the very force that elevates you. A person who trains under heavy weight becomes unstoppable when the weight is lifted. A nation that thrives under restrictions becomes invincible when the restrictions are gone. That is the hidden blessing inside this so-called threat. Pressure teaches you discipline. It forces you to find solutions you would never have looked for. It compels you to build strength you never knew you had. When the path is blocked, you find another one. When a door is closed, you build your own. Pressure exposes weakness, yes, but it also forges strength. And once that strength is forged, nothing can take it away. Think about the great stories of history. Every empire, every champion, every leader, every hero, they were all born out of struggle. They did not become great when life was easy. They became great when the odds were against them, when everything told them to quit, when they had every reason to surrender but refused. Pressure was their fire, and from that fire, they emerged unbreakable. That is exactly what is happening now. So, when you hear about tariffs, about threats, about numbers meant to scare you, do not bow your head. Lift it higher, because the world is giving you resistance. The world is giving you the weight you need to grow stronger. And every time pressure rises, it is simply another opportunity to rise even higher. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the gym of destiny. It is the arena where strength is born, where character is forged, and where true champions are created. When great challenges appear before a nation, when outside powers attempt to bend it with threats and intimidation, the strength of that nation does not lie in the hands of a single leader or a single institution. It lies in the collective spirit of its people. Unity is the most powerful weapon humanity has ever created, because unity takes fear and transforms it into unstoppable energy. Fear isolates, fear divides, fear paralyzes. But unity multiplies courage, multiplies determination, and turns every citizen into a soldier of progress. Think about this clearly. A tariff threat of 50% is designed to shake confidence, to create division between industries, between workers, between leaders, between the government and the people. It is meant to create panic in the market, doubt in the factories, and hesitation in the minds of entrepreneurs. But that fear only works when people act separately, when each person tries to protect only themselves. If the farmer thinks only of his crop, the factory worker only of his wages, the entrepreneur only of his profits, and the policymaker only of his seat, then the nation becomes fragmented, and a fragmented nation is weak. But imagine the opposite. Imagine the farmer, the worker, the business owner, the youth, the leader, all united under one vision. Imagine them saying, no outside power can dictate our future. We will rise together. In that moment, fear has no chance, because unity takes one voice and amplifies it into millions. Unity takes one hand and turns it into an unbreakable fist. Unity takes one step and transforms it into a march that shakes the world. History has shown this again and again. Nations do not survive challenges because they are the richest or the most powerful militarily. They survive because they are united. When the world sees that a nation is unshakable in its solidarity, it steps back. It respects that strength. Unity is not just about standing together in words. It is about action, about sacrifice, about every individual deciding that their personal success is tied to the success of their country. Think of it like a body. The muscles, the bones, the nerves, they're all different, but they are connected. If one part refuses to function, the body collapses. But when every part works together, the body becomes a machine of power and precision. A nation is no different. Every citizen is a part of the body. Every effort, no matter how small, is fuel for strength. And when that body is united, no outside pressure can break it. Unity also creates creativity. When people from different backgrounds and industries work together, ideas flow like a river. Solutions appear that no single person could have imagined alone. Tariffs may cut off certain opportunities, but a united people can invent new ones. New trade partners, new technologies, new industries. All of these become possible when unity drives innovation. Remember, fear divides, but unity inspires. Fear says, I cannot survive. Unity says we will thrive together. Fear makes a nation reactive, but unity makes it proactive. Fear creates hesitation, but unity creates momentum. And momentum, once it begins, is almost impossible to stop. So when threats come, when challenges rise, the question is not whether they are heavy or difficult. The question is, will the people stand together? Will the businesses support the workers support the businesses, the leaders support the citizens, and the citizens support the leaders? If the answer is yes, then even the most powerful threats collapse. Because unity transforms fear into power. My friends, let me tell you something. True strength, whether in life or in the journey of a nation, is never found in dependence. Dependence is a chain, even if it feels comfortable at first. Dependence on others means your future is in their hands, not yours. And when your future is in someone else's hands, they will use it as leverage. They will use it as power. They will use it as control. This is what tariff threats represent, a reminder of what happens when reliance on outside markets, outside systems, and outside power becomes too great. But when a nation decides to rise, when it says we will stand on our own feet, that is when it becomes truly unstoppable. Self-reliance is not an option. It is the very foundation of freedom. Think about it. Every great champion in the world knows that relying on others for strength will only take you so far. You can be trained, guided, and supported. But in the end, it is your own effort that creates results. Nobody can lift the weight for you in the gym. Nobody can eat the food, do the reps, or feel the pain in your place. The same principle applies to nations. Others may trade with you, cooperate with you, or even compete with you. But if you cannot feed your people, power your industries, defend your borders, and grow your economy with your own strength, then you are not free. You are vulnerable. Self-reliance does not mean isolation. It does not mean closing the door to the world. It means entering the world on your own terms. It means trading with confidence instead of desperation. It means negotiating as an equal instead of begging as a dependent. It means saying, we want cooperation, but if you choose conflict, we can stand alone. That is the posture of power. That is the language of freedom. Look at history. The most respected nations are those that built their own foundations. They may have accepted help, but they never allowed themselves to be controlled. They invested in education, in technology, in agriculture, in energy independence, and in the creativity of their people. That investment built a shield around them. No tariff, no sanction, no external pressure could destroy them, because their strength was not borrowed, it was built. And this is the moment of opportunity. Yes, 50% tariff threats sound intimidating. Yes, they can hurt in the short term. But in the long run, they can ignite a fire of self-reliance. They can awaken industries that were sleeping. They can inspire entrepreneurs to innovate, inventors to create, farmers to modernize, and workers to build with renewed pride. Every challenge becomes fuel for self-reliance. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. Every pressure becomes a spark that lights a new path forward. Self-reliance is also psychological. It is a mindset. It tells every citizen you are not a victim of outside forces. You are the architect of your own future. That mindset creates discipline, hard work, and pride. It says we don't need to wait for approval. We don't need to fear rejection. We will create, we will build, we will grow, and the world will have no choice but to recognize our power. Because the truth is simple. Dependence makes you negotiable. Self-reliance makes you undeniable. Dependence makes you vulnerable. Self-reliance makes you free. And when a nation chooses freedom through self-reliance, no tariff, no threat, no pressure in the world can bend it. My friends, the world has always belonged to the innovators. It has never been the strongest alone who survived, but the ones who could adapt, the ones who could create something new when the old ways were blocked. That is the secret of progress. Every great invention in history was born from necessity, from challenge, from a problem that demanded a solution. Pressure forces the mind to expand, and obstacles force the imagination to rise. When tariffs slam the door on one opportunity, innovation smashes open 10 more. That is why innovation is not just an advantage. It is the ultimate weapon against intimidation. Think about the greatest breakthroughs humanity has ever seen. Electricity, the airplane, the computer, the internet. None of these were born in times of comfort. They were created in times of urgency, when the world needed answers, when the risks were high, when people thought it was impossible. Every great innovator heard the words, "You can't," and every great innovator turned that into "watch me." This is exactly what tariff threats represent. A challenge that demands new answers. And new answers only come through innovation. A 50% tariff may cut off one export route, but it cannot cut off human creativity. Creativity has no border, no restriction, no barrier that can hold it back. If one market closes, innovators find another. If one product becomes uncompetitive, innovators design a better one. If one system becomes outdated, innovators build a new system that makes the old one irrelevant. Innovation is the art of turning every disadvantage into an advantage, every loss into a lesson, and every threat into an opportunity for transformation. Let us look at this clearly. Tariffs aim to cripple industries, to force dependency, to create economic weakness. But innovation flips the script. Instead of becoming weaker, industries are forced to modernize, to adopt new technology, to think smarter, to become more efficient. Instead of relying on outdated methods, they upgrade. Instead of competing on low margins, they compete on high value. Suddenly, the very process that was meant to break them becomes the fire that forges their strength. Innovation is not just about technology. It is about mindset. It is about asking, how do we do this better? How do we do this smarter? How do we do this in a way that nobody can stop us? It is about seeing problems not as dead ends, but as puzzles waiting to be solved. When a nation embraces this mindset, no external pressure can defeat it, because every threat simply becomes raw material for creativity. And innovation has a ripple effect. When one industry adapts, it inspires others. When one entrepreneur succeeds despite the odds, it lights the way for millions. When one invention proves that a tariff cannot stop progress, the whole nation begins to believe in its own limitless potential. Innovation creates momentum, And momentum creates transformation. Before long, the very tariffs that were meant to weaken the nation end up making it stronger, smarter, and more competitive on the global stage. So when the world tries to block progress with numbers, remember, numbers are limited. Innovation is unlimited. Numbers can restrict, but innovation can break all restrictions. Numbers can control, but innovation creates new rules. That is why innovation is stronger than intimidation, and why the future belongs to those who create, not those who threaten.